Julie, thank you very much for being here with me today, because I think that our conversation is immensely important. I know it from my friends, I know it from myself. There's something that's happening for so many women in our 40s and maybe 50s too, when we one day wake up and think like, is this all there is when it comes to the work that we've been doing for the last 10, 20 years? And you are the perfect person to talk to about this, because you felt it obviously yourself too. And you made the big jump from corporate into a completely different field. So
yes.
Please take us back. It's almost more than 10 years ago. You were 40, at around 40, when something significant happened. Please tell us about it.
In my 40th year. I had been brewing in my late 30s. I had 2 little children. My kids were born in my mid 30s. So, and I worked a very, very big job. My friend and I, who both left that particular company when we were 40, our biotech company, we had this conversation about, are we sure we want to do this, leaving our corporate careers at the peak of our earning potential? So I left with a leap of faith, because I was not seeing my kids very much. I was spending an hour to an hour and a half a day with them, because my job was so big and I needed to find something different. And I'd been looking for a couple of years to make a change, working with top executive coaches in Boston, because that was part of my job and who I was working with, part of my internal team, and not really finding a place to go and what to do. And in hindsight, it was really important that I make this leap. The day before I left, maybe the last week I left, another friend at my company resigned, and and she had the job that, excuse me, one of the jobs that I'd been interested in having for 6 months. And the VP of HR called me in and said, okay, the job is yours. I'd love to keep you, because I had tried to leave since March, and they kept asking me to stay longer and stay longer and stay longer. And I really wanted to be home for the summer with my kids. And I knew that, I said to him, I know I can always get this job back, but I can't get another summer with my kids. Oh, so wow. I was having a health issue, everything in this, my nanny had resigned, and I couldn't even think about hiring another person. All these things that happened. And when I was offered the job that I thought I wanted, I realized how much I really had to take this leap of faith. And that's really what it was. And into that leap, into making space for what was next, Spirit kept showing up, is what I would say now, or guides along the way. In August, I was having a great vacation with one of my husband's colleagues, who was an organizational development person, and he happened to consult with a psychic once a year on his business, and he had this other kind of thinking. And into that space, he gave me a book on shamanism that launched me into remembering that place that I had studied before I had kids, and had spent some time within nature to be really connected to the elements. And even when I got married when I was 30, I got married when I was 30, and I got married in a medicine wheel, and I created a sacred hoop on the earth, and then put all that away to go have my corporate life and raise kids and get married and do all of that. And so it was this big coming around the circle. And I'd love to say it was my intention to become an entrepreneur, but really now in my 50s, I'm realizing, well, I've been running my own business for 10 years. I really ought to start acting like I'm running my own business. And like as you just said before we got on the call, I have a global business. I'm a worldwide shaman, or a worldwide practitioner of energy medicine.
Yes, that's a great expression. I'm a worldwide shaman.
Yeah, so it's really, or maybe cosmic even at some level. And so it's starting, my business is catching up to my business, like the technical platforms are catching up to what I've been doing for a long time. So that was a long sentence or a big paragraph.
It's beautiful. So let me just summarize, because I think this is when you quit your job. I mean, you had this pivotal moment of, I want to have a summer with my children, and you're given the job that you wanted for 6 months. I mean, yes. that is big to say, okay, no, I'm choosing the summer.
Yes.
Do you remember, was that like a big, you knew it, you wanted to have the summer, or was this still because it's very tempting? to stay.
It was very tempting what I said. I remember very vividly because everything in me was like, oh my gosh, like this is happening. Like, you know, it's like being offered this thing that you think you've wanted for so long. And I had been at the company for 10 years. Like I got married. The company was 140 people when we started. We grew it to 2,500. I helped reshape it to 1,000. Like this was my family, right? Mm-hmm. But I knew I would, what I said to the VP, I knew I would never get that opportunity to spend that summer with my kids again. Like I had one summer, like this was the summer I could have with my kids, and I can always have another job. And so part of my work now in the world is helping people get to that truth. What's your truth? Who are you? What do you want to birth? Because the metaphor, one of the metaphors I've been using is, I'm looking at my trees around the room. If you're an acorn and you try to grow into a rose bush, it's never going to happen. No matter how much you push and look around at all the rose bushes and say, I can be that rose bush. No, you're an oak tree. So what's your seed? Who are you? And how do you bring it forward into the world? Because when we're struggling and pushing all the time, we're not in the right place.
Yes. Is there like an abbreviated version of your teachings that you could share now? It's like, because I'm sure we have many women listening and they're in a similar position, like, yeah, so how do I find out who I am and what's really my next path?
In the work of the medicine wheel, that circle that I got married in, there's 4 directions, and we want to do our personal work of shedding our stories and reclaiming our power first. And then we can just we take the gifts from our ancestors and our ancestry, and also shed that place where we get held by our family. So who are you? So you reclaim, you make a choice. What do you want to do? How are you going to be claimed by life? And then in the north, you step into your truth and step into this place of really moving forward in your life as into the collective to be of service. And for women, this is so important. Some of the hardest steps we make in the north, in the place of stepping into our power and really owning who we are, is that it's difficult for our families or our community. And we need the support of our family, our community. Even this summit is such a beautiful gift to women to say, look, there are women who've walked this path before you. You can get, you know, I'm not sure of the whole platform, but you could get a coach, or you can get, or maybe you just need to have the opportunity open to say, there's a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you get to the east, the 4th direction is about becoming the visionary. So what's your vision? What do you see on the horizon of your life? So that's the map of this ancient map of consciousness, that you go in all 4 directions so you can sit in the center, go around and then be sitting in the center. And in this work, what you're being informed by is your future. So often we think, well, I'm an HR executive. I did that for 25 years. That's who I am in my past. And all of that work and all of that I have done has prepared me for all the moments that I have now. So I'm talking to somebody about a class that I'm teaching in a gathering. I'm calling a gathering in the spring of people who carry mesas. They're medicine bundles. They carry a mesa. So anybody who's carrying a mesa is invited to this gathering, anybody in the world. And so I want to have a minimum of 100 people there. It's an in-person gathering. Yeah. And she said, well, how is it going to feel? Are you nervous about being at a gathering? I'm like, oh no, I can run a group of 300 people. I can stand in front of it. You know, I've stood up on the stage at 1,000 people company and done 1,000 person events and have the mic, and I'm not nervous. All those things in my past prepared me for what's coming in my future.
In the future.
So that's the thing to start to remember when you look around and say, wow, this is a really interesting experience. Why am I having this experience now? Something's coming in the future. I wonder what it is.
I wonder what it is. And I think you, from what I know about your story, you beautifully looked for or were open to receive the guidance. Yes. So the gentleman that you worked with who had the psychics, that was just one of the
yes.
examples. You right. also found the teacher that you would be studying with and be, you know, like closely working with for the last 10 years, also in that summer, correct?
Yes, yes. Yes, because that book that he handed me was written by the person who was the head of the school. And you know, and so here mom's on the call. I really wanted the summer with my kids, but by November, being a full-time stay-at-home mom, I was getting a little crazy. And my husband traveled for work, so I was often a single mom because he was away with these two kids, and I really needed a break. And he'd been traveling a lot for work. And I went to, so I was flipping through the Kripalu catalog, which is an East Coast yoga meditation retreat place. And I'm looking through the catalog, and I read that book in August. That book was given to me in August. And as I flip through the catalog, I see that the author of the book is giving a workshop.
And who is the author, please? And what's the name of the book?
Alberto Violdo is the author, and he is the head of the Light Body School. And I didn't even know he had a school. It wasn't like I wanted to go study that. I had read the book. It's sung to me. It's like, oh yes, this is who I am. The book is called Shaman Healer Sage. And it's a book about the shamanic path and about stepping into healing. So these places, so that opened a doorway. And then I went to the workshop, which was, he used to call it his wine tasting workshop, his sampling of the class. And I went to that workshop. There was one bed left for a woman in a women's dorm at Kripalu. Literally, I called and they said, oh, we're really booked on Thanksgiving. I said, okay, just me. Can I come by myself? And they said, yes, we have one bed left. And he talked about the school. And the school was $10,000. And I was not working, although I had left with a great nest egg because I was director in HR. So I took care of myself. So that's the other thing is to have an exit plan. If you're going to change your life, make a plan. There's a place of leaping and leaping with support.
And so, how did you, before we continue on the shamanic path, how did you get this support? Because usually when you leave a company, you don't get the golden handshake or
parachute, the golden parachute.
The golden handshake.
Yeah.
You usually don't get that. How did you do that?
Well, I was a director in HR. I was in charge of making the packages to help people transition. So I had, literally I had been there 10 years and was employee number 140, and the company grew very big, and then we had to restructure it. And for the last 2.5 years of my job, I was the HR partner in charge of the restructuring programs. So every time we did, so we went from 2,500 people to 1,200. So we did many reshapings, whatever you want to call them, layoffs, restructurings. And I was in charge of those projects, which was extremely stressful. That's part of why my health changed. And in that, so when I was running those projects, that was my full-time job, but in between they would give me the job, like I was the head of the EOC program for a while, and I did staffing again, and I did all these different things. So in that process of that spring, I was given a full-time, that was my job, because we thought we were done with restructuring. I was going to be a staffing person. I said, okay, well, I did that 10 years ago, and let's see how it goes. And we both have an out if it doesn't work out.
Okay. So I think this is very smart, because on one hand, we are always told in our 40s, this is the highest earning power that we have.
Yes.
So it's the hardest time to leave, but then it's also the best. You have cloud in the company.
Yes.
You had cloud. You could plan your exit strategy really wisely.
Right.
But now in November, you're home for a few months. Yes, you did get a golden parachute. However, you were not working, and $10,000 was not something that was not such an easy decision, was it?
No, it was not an easy decision at all. No, I mean, it was funny. Inside me, as soon as I heard about the school, the decision was made. And then I said and then I thought, oh, now I have to tell my husband, and now I have to figure that out. And I went home and we started looking at it. And actually, I don't know that I said so much about it until January, when after the holidays, and because I was there at Kripalu for Thanksgiving weekend. And when I got back, when I got really clear in January, a colleague called me and said, I have this opportunity, this contract, an HR contract, for some training work that I don't really want to do. Would you like to do it on change management? And it was for $10,000.
Beautiful. Let me guess what you said.
Yeah. So I consulted I did the both thing. That's why, while I was studying studying shamanism and working in human resources part-time as a consultant. And for those of you who've done consulting, it can be a very lucrative thing, especially in a place where you're a subject matter expert or you have a proven capability. Then you can go, and I did that contract, and then I worked the CEO where I had been at that biotech had left and started a venture capital firm, and I worked for him and his firm for 6 years, actually helping him start up companies.
Is this something that you would recommend to other people, to other women too, that walk in both worlds for some time to simply, you know, deal with the everyday needs of your, you know, financial needs of your family?
Yes, I think it depends on, I would recommend it if that's a financially nourishing and emotionally nourishing thing for you to do.
Yeah.
So
okay.
even my shamanic teachers would always, or one of the things we talk about is back doors, closing back doors. And back doors are places where you have energy leaking out. So, or escape plans, which is different than an exit strategy. So some people would say to me, you're keeping this back door. You really want to, you say you want to have a shamanic practice, but you're still doing HR. And
Yes.
the only person who knows if that's a back door is me. You can't, you know, Bettina can't tell me that it's a back door. I have to know that it's a back door, or I have to know that I'm leaking energy there. And for me, I wasn't leaking energy because I'm such an extrovert, and I want that, and I'm very intellectually curious. So staying in these startup companies and learning new science and talking to my biotherapeutics guy about what protein biotherapeutics are and how all that chain of things worked after I'd been working with the chemistry department, all those things kept me very excited. Even now I can get a little excited about it.
Yes, I can see that.
Yeah. So I love the science and I love the people. And then one day I realized that it was done.
It was
done. Time. It was time for me to be done.
Then you realized how, for our listener, how would I know, or what can I ask myself to see if this is the back door, or if it is like in your case it was not a back door? Like if I am called to do something but still want to keep one foot in what I've done in the past, how do I know, is it a back door and I'm leaking energy, or is it like in your case it was the right thing to do?
You ask yourself, if you could wake up and put your energy anywhere, where would it be? Okay. Ask yourself, what's going to nourish me today? What do I want to put all my energy in? And sometimes it's two things, you know, like I'm working with this with my life right now, and I'm launching this. I have 2 classes going in March that I want to have a total of 150 people in. So I'm sending emails, and I'm inviting to events, and I'm doing all those things. And I'm also really invested in the holidays for my family. And my son is coming home from college today. So if I don't include that in my list, if all I'm doing is work stuff, then I'm not being nourished. So or the holidays and the celebrations we do were not something I was looking forward to, that would be, I'm using that I have to run the household mother thing even that as a backdoor. So what's your love? Where are you nourished? And keep asking yourself, is this nourishing me? So in the place of walking 2 paths, it was still very, very nourishing to me. The other thing you can ask for is, give me a sign if this is time to close the door. And I was wondering that at the last company I was at. And this colleague that I had admired for a long time that I was working with offered me a job to do benefits administration, which is one thing that I had never really done. And she's like, we really want to keep you, so I'm happy for you to learn benefits administration. And I thought, I have never in my life wanted to learn how to do benefits administration. It's never appealed to me. And if I'm going to learn something new, I should learn how to build a website. I should learn how to market my business. Like if I have that much energy to learn something about technology and spreadsheets, and I ought to put together my own business plan. So it was like spirit giving me a message that said, and that's what I said to her. It's not what I want to learn. Thank you for the offer.
But this is when you knew you closed the door for good, with all the work that you did previously, and focused full time. Is this a word? You focused full time on shamanisming?
Yes, shamanisming. Yeah, on my healing practice, I focused full time. And the other thing that that happened that we haven't talked about is, before I graduated from the shamanic school that I was in, they invited me into the faculty. So while all that was happening, while I was still doing human resources and building my practice just a little bit on the side, I had the opportunity to be faculty for that school. So I was also teaching in the school that had trained me. And that was really a delicious opportunity. And that was very part-time because they don't have a school like Harvard has a school in a building. They do seasonal teaching. And so I did that for 10 years, being faculty for them. And the day that I said no, and a lot of us have these stories, you know, I had wanted my husband to get more work to support us so I could work less and he could work a little more. And the day I left my job, the next day he got a 6-month contract for a lot of money. So, you know, the day I closed the door on human resources, I had all the clients I wanted every week in my private practice. And I didn't do anything different. I didn't send out an announcement. Except that I closed the door to that and said, okay, universe, I have 20 to 30 hours a week open now.
Okay, let's fill it. What I'm
That's
hearing
amazing.
is you're not in any way, shape, or form slowing down, but in fact, stepping, you know, the last year, you're really owning the fact that you're an entrepreneur and that you want to make a real big impact.
That's right. Because I believe that these teachings are so important for people to have a magical life.
Yes.
To live a life that's in the frequency of love, and to have a magical life that you have the support you need right now. And it's all around us. And in my world, some of it's invisible. It's in that place of the spiritual world or the world of support, but you have what you need to take this leap. So I think in my bio or in one of the forums, I put a quote from when you come to the edge of all that you believe, you will be given one of two things, either ground on which to stand or wings to fly.
Beautiful.
So there is a place of taking a leap of faith. A little bit.
Yes.
Trusting.
Oh yeah.
Trusting, so you expand into your possibility. And we hadn't talked about the place also of how when we enter our 50s, it is actually, there's a place in the I don't remember whose teachings, but where your womb, your literal womb, whether you've had children or not, turns to the stars and you become a cosmic womb keeper. And your work is to step into this place. I love the word in Spanish, it's called madrina, the work of becoming a godmother to be of service. So how do you want to be of service to yourself? Like what's nourishing for you, your family, your community, the world, and it doesn't have to be a global thing. You don't have to be on the world stage. Every conversation we have is on the world stage.
That's a beautiful point that you're making. So when you said about when you're entering your 50s, is that also connected to menopause?
Yes.
When the womb turning to the stars, the metaphorical, it's not about children anymore, but for a higher teaching, higher learning.
That's exactly right. Okay. Yes.
Okay. Now that you're in your 50s, where do you see yourself and your work in 5 years from now, or maybe even 10 years from now? I'm guessing because you're just getting into the groove, so to speak.
That's a great question. I'm in the process of doing my 10 years this week. I really see myself as being someone who is speaking about this place of practicing magic in the world, of really understanding, teaching, helping people to understand and have the practical experience and the practical skills, for lack of a better word, the tools to create magic in their life.
Indeed, magic is what Julie creates today for herself as well for her community. And I'm telling you, in the interviews that I conduct, I sometimes feel so strongly, like I did in my conversation with Julie, in our conversations ever since, that there is sort of a sacred sisterhood around the world. And we're now finding each other again through modern technology. It's ancient sisterhood coming together with modern technology. And if you watched the video until now to this end, I have a hunch that you are one of the sisters as well. So please join the community, sign up for this channel, and also hop on over to my website so we can stay connected and form a closer bond. I believe very strongly that it is the women of today whose leadership is required to change this world around for the better. And I would love nothing more to really stay connected in this sacred sisterhood. I can't wait to find out more about you and your magic.